you do after you leave here. For a lot of us, many things are going to change about the way you see life, about the way you view things generally. I'm not a very organized person. I'm not organized at all. In fact, I didn't know how disorganized I was until I met my wife. She's been organizing me for the past 10 years to the glory of God. But I want to share a very quick story. But before I share that story, I just want to, okay, my story is still going to, dovetail into this. Yes. So, very many years ago, I was a young boy in Lagos. I grew up in Lagos. I was born in Lagos. Lived most of my life there. And I used to live in Festac, a place called Festac Town. So in Festac, Festac was like an aeroplane route. So before aeroplanes land at the airport, most times, they will circle through Festac Town, then they land at Ikeja. So most of the time, you would see British Airways, you will see Alitalia, you will see like different KLM, Lufthansa, you see all those logos on all of those aircrafts, right? And somehow, as a child, the kind of upbringing I have, we used to live in a block and flat, like 16 flats. I think we were on flat 12 or 11, 11, no, 12, flat 13, 13, 14, 15, 16, yeah. We're in flat 13. So on the top of our balcony, I'll be watching all these airlines, all these aircrafts, going to land at the airport. And I began to grow up, and I think before I was 10 years old, or maybe like 9 years old, I already knew how to enter public transport in Lagos. So I would take public transport to the airport. My parents didn't know where I was. Can you imagine that kind of scatteredness? I will be inside the airport. I will sit down there. I will see white people, black people, everybody carrying bags. I will see children just like myself. So it began to do something to my mind as an individual. It began to really mess with me. At some point I was thinking like, I must be from a very poor family. Like it used to bother me, as a child. But once in a while, my father would travel out. He used to work for government. So maybe they give them like maybe a training program taking place in Canada or US or whatever. He would travel, he would come back with clothes, he would come back with stuff. But my mind was still like, even me too, he should not just travel alone. He should be able to take all of us, get on a plane, and all of us travel. We had people that used to live in our block and flats who had that experience of traveling out. So on one of these occasions, I got to the airport, and I've never shared this before because I just remembered. I took a bus that was supposed to be taking me home, but I entered the bus in the opposite direction. So it was like I got missing for some time. I now had to ask questions and I got back. But to cut the long story short, I got to university and I met this guy. His name is Alex Omole. He's in the US now. We were in the same secondary school, but he was way ahead of me, Federal Government College, Kwali, in Abuja. That's where I had my secondary school. So I met Alex again in university, and Alex used to travel a lot as a university student. We all law students, of course. He used to represent our faculty in moot court competitions, international moot court competitions. I don't know if your school participates in any of that. Like outside the country, right? You have students that go abroad, they represent your school, they win competitions and come back. Have you guys ever won an international competition, moot court competition? Because you cannot have this kind of beautiful facility and you are not winning competitions, right? So, so Alex used to represent our school. Alex was everywhere. You just say that Alex just came back from Germany, a student. Oh, Alex just came back from Netherlands. Alex was in the US. Alex went to the UK. So I was like, so one day I went to Alex's house. I said, Alex, me, I'm not really so good in advocacy, but in school I was in politics, and I love to talk, just do politicking, look for votes and all that. I was into a lot of political stuff in school. So Alex now told me about one of his trips. He said, "Okay, let me just give you one idea." So he gave me that one idea that took me out of the country for the very first time. I went to Germany, and a lot of things happened while I got there. And and I remember those days that I used to look at aeroplanes, and I was like, wow, so that's how this life really is. And it has to start here. It starts in your mind. I can tell you today that if you even go to ChatGPT and you say, ChatGPT, show me all the summer school programs that take place in Europe in 2025. Select them by the paid courses and the scholarship courses. I am a university law student, blah, 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 blah. I want to participate in programs in business, human rights, in law, in finance for students, summer school programs. You will be shocked what you find out. Back in the days, we didn't have ChatGPT, but Alex just gave me a website. I went to that website, and it's still functional right now. Even now, if you go there and you find out, you'll be shocked that by this same time next year, you might already have your visa, your ticket, all expense paid to just attend a program abroad with people like you from across the world. I think that site used to be DAD, DAAD.de. You can write it down. But like I said, you can also go to ChatGPT. In fact, before I came up stage, I used this prompt. There was a prompt I used here that might be useful for you. I'm just trying to say that sometimes you have to push that thing that is going on in your mind into a series of activities, a series of actions. That's when you really know that you are really very serious about what you want to do. So the prompt I use here is scholarship summer school programs in social sciences, law, and business across Europe in 2025. But right now, most of the 2025 programs, many of them, the application times are already passed now. So you might be planning for 2026. I want to hear that maybe from your coordinator that maybe like 10 students here, they took me up on this particular idea. And you can start that whole international mindset shift for yourself as an individual. So that's that. I will tell another story. I'm actually trying to tie everything up as much as I can. When I was doing my youth service, I went to, what's it called, this university again? No, state, Oboh State. So I was posted to Oboh State for my youth service. When I got to Oboh State, they now advised me that what lawyers do in Oboh State, they will post you to maybe Ministry of Justice. Then they will ask you, you'll be buying granite and corn for staff. You won't have a lot of experience going to court. Like you'll just be like all this, like you'll be like a servant to even the servants in the office. They just push you around. You don't get any value for your 1 year of doing your youth service. So there's this friend of mine, Honorable Igwe. Anyways, it's not my friend, but we used to sit together in law school, and he was a member of the House of Representatives at the time. I think he was representing Port Harcourt Federal Constituency or something like that. And I talked to Honorable Igwe. I said, Honorable, after I left camp, I came back to Abuja. I said, sir, please, can you give me posting letter to Abuja? He said, the first thing he said when I entered his office was, hope say you don't come beg me money, or, he's very jovial like that. And I said, sir, Port Harcourt boy now. I said, no, I didn't come to beg you money. Please just give me a letter. Let them post me to National Assembly. And they posted me to National Assembly. I began serving there. Of course, I went to Ekpoma and Brusali University, all the whole political things I used to do in school then. I got into National Assembly. I still found a way to be relevant with the National Assembly Corpus Forum. I was actually the Secretary General then. So that gave me the opportunity to meet with a lot of honorable members, a lot of senators. There used to be this particular senator, like the line to his office was the longest in the entire National Assembly at the time. I think his name was Senator Sodangi Ali. When you see Sodangi Ali's office, like one of the things you would also find, he was a humanitarian. So you just, from afar, you'll be seeing people carrying Ghana Must Go. You would think that it's books that are inside. It was not books, it was money. So he used to share money for a lot of his constituency members, helping them, those that need grants, those that need support for children's school fees, hospital bills. He was very known for that. Then also, Friday after prayers, you now see a lot of core members, like they are focusing on that Sodange Ali's office. Like, of course, you have to collect your share when you know that something is going on, in that regard. And on one of such occasions, somebody talked about a certain honorable member. His name is Iseme Eyibo. Iseme Eyibo he was the chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs at the time. So I was like, from the things they said about him, I was like, wow, this is a very good guy. As Secretary General of the Corpus Forum, I would like to meet with him. So my PRO, who already knew him, made that introduction possible. And we got to his office, we began to talk and all of that. And somehow, when he got to know that I was a lawyer, because he's also a lawyer, he was like, oh, let's be friends. So from that period, like we became friends. Is this still good enough? Yeah. So from that period, we became friends. And after my youth service, he's like, I would like you to work with me. Come and work with me as my personal assistant. I worked for like 3, 4, 5 months. He wasn't necessarily paying me a monthly salary. So sometimes he'd be like, okay, this is 10K, take 10,000, take 20,000, take 50,000, like just like that, random stuff. So one day he calls me up and he's like, what do you want to do with your life? So from my 100 level, I've always been clear. Like, I wanted to do something relating to ICT, telecommunications, tech-related stuffs and all that. And he's like, I now told him my own dreams in terms of what I wanted to become as a lawyer. I've never really had a passion for the advocacy before a judge. I don't want to talk in front of a judge. I just want to talk the way I'm talking. I don't want to talk and I'm saying, oh, that too rude, all those, like the thing used to mess with my head. So I congratulate you guys that, you have a hold on all of those things. So he says, what do you want to do? And I said, sir, I've always wanted to do a master's in ICT and telecommunications. And there used to be this university in Germany at the time, University of Hamburg. They had that particular course. So he's like, okay, Germany, okay, can you try the UK? So I looked for a school in the UK. In fact, he gave me the school. He gave me the city. He said, okay, check this school. I checked up a school, University of Strathclyde. Strathclyde had ICT and telecommunications law. So I applied to that school. Don't forget, I was still working with him. I applied to the school. After my application, in less than 2 weeks, they gave me my admission. Then he asked me, he said, how much does it cost? I think then it was about £12,000 to attend school at the time. I now told him it's £12,000 for school fees. He said, okay. He said, go and be looking for houses there. I checked, I was online, I was like, hope this guy is not boboing me, you understand? How is it possible that somebody that I've never met, he doesn't know my family, I don't know him, like, there's no relationship that will make somebody to see another human being. I want to make that kind of investment in the person's life. So I checked out accommodation, I checked out feeding, I checked out transport, I checked out the school fees. I now sent him the bill. So he was like, okay. He now said, can you buy a ticket? I now said, of course, I have a father now. My father should be able to buy tickets. Don't you think so? If somebody is telling you that he's going to do all of these things, is it the ticket for you to travel that should now be a problem? So I told my dad about it, and it was no big deal for him, and he funded my tickets. And the next thing, I saw that my boss at the time, he had paid my school fees. He had said, okay, as I'm traveling, this is the amount of money he's going to give to me. Practically, he sponsored my master's, my accommodation for almost 2 years paid, my feeding allowance, everything paid. This is an individual that I had no dealings with. But this was possible because some 7 years ago, I had been thinking of the fact that I want to study ICT and telecommunications law. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to push you to that mindset framework that the thoughts that you are having, those thoughts are actually valid. You see yourself as a public speaker, you see yourself even as the governor of your state or as a honorable member or a senator in your state, you see yourself as a constitutional lawyer, anything that you can conceptualize here is actually possible. But the timing much of the time is usually the challenge. We don't know when sometimes, we don't know how. And that is why she mentioned the fact that if you see people doing the things that you would love to do, the least that you can do is to follow them. I don't know if it makes sense. The least you can do is to follow them. For me personally, that's Honorable Seme's story in my life. And even after I came back to Nigeria, after working in a Spanish bank in Glasgow for some years, came back to Nigeria, he still made it possible for me to travel to Korea, travel to India, all expense paid, things like that. So you might be telling yourself that I have these big dreams. I don't know how these dreams might come to pass. But the truth is, nobody can actually tell you the A, B, C to Z of it. But I believe we all have a relationship with God. You talk to God. Like we're having a conversation earlier today, how people talk to God. God is not somebody that is so far. He's just an ear away from the words that you speak. So you must be very careful about the thought processes that you are having, the people that you hang around with, the things that you are willing to do now as against your future. And before now, I was talking about following people. There's a lot of value in following people. There is a lot of value in following people. Why do I say that? You want to travel a journey that you have never traveled before. Who would you follow? Somebody that knows the what? Somebody that knows the road. They say follow who know road. You follow somebody that knows the road. And don't forget, if that person that knows the road, much of the time, we always feel like those people are not accessible. If you go online today and start building your own personal brand on LinkedIn, I'm not talking of Facebook or Instagram, no. On LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a very beautiful platform. And many of us in school, you can start using that platform even now. I know of many of the students that attend the Gypsy mentorship program. If you check their profiles out online, you will almost think that these guys are consultants to United Nations because of the way they package themselves. So you can also do that for yourself. You have to be very intentional. So if you are thinking of that beautiful future and you are not putting the right seeds into the ground now, prayers may not help you. Prayers have a way of answering the spiritual solutions to the answers that you seek. But your actions must align with your prayers. If you are praying in one direction and you are acting in the opposite direction, they cannot measure. If that so, I just wanted to say all of that as an encouragement, to let you guys know that the thoughts that you have, they are valid. And when we are talking about mindset transformation actually happens first in your mind. After it takes place in your mind, you must begin to take all the necessary steps to take you from point A to point B. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense so far. So I just had to scramble a few things on a slide that I have here. I don't have a projector, so I'll just be quick on many things. So another question I have is, I first asked you, who are you, right? Did you meditate on that? Who are you? Who are you? Who am I? Even me, I still ask myself that question because I'm not where I really want to be, but I can see the picture, so that gives me that succor. So the next question I will ask you is, or the next thing I will say is, you are in one of the most defining phases of your life. I wish I could go back to university. One of the things I would have done if I went back to uni, I would have still done politics, sincerely. I used to be super shy, mega shy. I had 5 sisters, growing up. I'm the 4th child of 7. I have 3 elder sisters, 2 immediate younger sisters, then my brother is the last, but I was still super shy. So one day in 200 level, No, 100 level, second semester. I was now like talking to some of my friends. I was like, me, I want to go to Lossa House of Parliament. So we had Parliament in our school then. I want to go to that Parliament. Say you that you cannot even look up. You want to go and I'll say no, but I really want to go to that Parliament. And I started lobbying, campaigning. Even before time, I was already telling people that, man, I want to be a honorable member in school and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, other contenders also came up. But one thing that worked for me well was when it had to do with talking to people one on one, I'm very terrible at that. I'm very terrible at keeping eye contact. Like if you suddenly look at this guy now, I can't do that for long. But talking like this, I'm very because I can bounce around, look in any direction that I want to look, and I'm very okay. So some of my friends were like, "Oh, don't worry, Joe. You know school then now. Even when you have not won, they'll be telling you you don't win." So they were boboing me now. So I now said, well, what can I do to really win this kind of election and all that? So I started joining some associations. I joined Class Fund. I joined some other small reading groups just so that I can meet people, I can campaign. Of course, I won my election. I became honorable member, not of a state or of Lossa. So from Lossa, I continued. In my 200 level, I ran again, I won. Then I now became the PRO, Public Relations Officer for Class Fund. I won. I was in 400 level at the time. I was like, okay, what do I want to do with my life now? And something came to my mind. You can be president of your faculty now. Do you understand? I was like, president of my faculty. There were other guys that came up that were campaigning at the time. One of them used to represent my school in international moot competitions. His name was Ojon Daniel, and he was an exceptional guy, very intelligent. He knew all the case law, he knew everything about law. But this was just me, a guy that likes to jump around, talk here, laugh around and stuff. And I had Ojon Daniel to battle with. There was this other guy, Jude Obidi. He's a friend. Of course, he's a colleague, yeah. And Jude Obidi had money. So when you go to the cafeteria now, for example, Judobidi will close down the area. Like the guy will spend, everybody will eat. Even some of my supporters, sometimes I will see them eating. I'll see them eating Judobidi. So one day we had a meeting. I said, guys, I hope your loyalty is still there. I cannot buy food for anybody, but you can eat, but still know where you will cast your votes at the end of the day. So, so at the end of the day, I would walk into 100 level class, I'll attend lectures with them, enter 200 level class, attend lectures. Lecturers will say, what are you doing there? Are you in this class? I'll say no. They'll say, please get out of this class. That's already publicity for me. Is it that guy that is running for... So I was doing a lot of crazy things just to be out there. And I later on won that election, right? 52% of the votes. I always say to my wife, and she'll be like, I'm always bragging with past elections, but those are some of the best days for me. I was able to really express myself, be myself. So I'm just trying to say that don't be in school and be hiding under a bushel. Does it make sense? If you're in school, be in school. Participate in things that people who are in school participate in. Don't be that person that the only thing you care about is law report. There used to be one girl in my faculty then that used to hide law reports in the library. Yeah. After she used the report, she would go and hide it with newspapers. Why would you be doing that kind of thing? And please, don't do that. Don't say it's me that brought that kind of idea to Nasarawa State University. She used to do all those things. Then we'll now be like, you've already read the report. It was now later that we now realize that when the lecturer gives a citation, the next class, she's the only person that she has had access to the report. Every other person in the class will look for that report like you will not see that report in the library. So I want to encourage you. You are in school, be in school. These are the best days of your life. What was the greatest mistake that can happen in your life now, for example? Maybe you have a carryover in a course, and God forbid that will not happen because you are studying. So go out of your way, do all that you must do to gather the experience, to learn from your colleagues, to build partnerships, to build collaborations. Try to see how you can maximize even interactions with your lecturers. Maximize those interactions because once you leave here, You guys will now become like colleagues. And in the law profession, of course, we have seniority, but at the end of the day, lawyers relate on a colleagues kind of, level. So learn from your lecturers, do the best that you can, take advantage of all the resources that you have. The website that I shared just now, has anybody accessed it here? You check that, it's in German and you can translate to English. See, if that's the only thing that I came to Nasarawa State University to do, to show you how you can network with your contemporaries across the world on scholarship-based opportunities in any field of study that your mind can fathom. It's very possible. You can search for it, do the work. And doing that work just means that by now, somebody's already thinking, how can I get my international passport? Instead of buying egg roll and having egg roll and mineral every afternoon, you can actually save and get with about 30 something thousand naira or 40 something thousand. You can get an international passport. That's what will tell me that you are ready for this transformation that we are actually speaking about. So I've said that you are in the best days of your life, and what you believe will determine how you act. So once you leave here today, based on the actions that your friends would see you taking, that would be the proof of whether you are ready for that future. Many of us came here, we mentioned a lot of beautiful things. Some people said fashion. There's a friend of mine, Oronsaye, that's what I call him. He's a lawyer as well, but he owns one of the most prominent fashion brands, even in Nigeria, Africana Couture. Presidents, you can take me up on this. Presidents of countries, they send private jets to Oronsaye in Abuja to come and pick him either to Guinea or to Togo. He will go and take measurements. They will bring him back to Nigeria. He will do the work. They will. A lawyer, just check him out. You can check Africana Couture online. So if you are in fashion and you are not following those kinds of people to understand the new fashion mindset, because fashion has a mindset. And there was something Oronsaye told me, and he said, my brother, everything is a make-believe. As in, everything, even like he was talking earlier on, and I really admire you, sir. I love your comportment, your composure, the texture of your voice, like you're already sure. Like for me, I wasn't sure of anything when I was in university. Let me not lie. Me, I was just I was just gliding through life, having a good time. Go for one political meeting, they will clap for us. That was just how I was living my life. I never, even though I always had a passion for public speaking, for ICT, telecoms, but I could not break it down the way he broke what he wanted to do into bits, in that particular. I couldn't break it down. So when I look at him, I know that if he keeps his focus, and like she was telling you, you don't think Nasarawa State, think the world. When you're thinking your fashion, don't think about this environment. Think the world. Don't even think Nigeria. In the Committee of Nations, Nigeria is doing its best. I saw this video. This 12-day war between Iran and the United States and Israel. Of course, the US came into that whole conflict for reasons best known to Donald Trump. But that's not my point. I saw a video of a rocket launcher that was painted green, white, green. I don't know if you guys saw that picture. Somebody was like, that's the rocket launcher Nigeria wants to use. Like for me, I'm not trying to run my country down, no, but I don't know. Do we launch rockets in this country? I don't know. I'm not too sure. But I think we should be able to. I don't know if we have ballistic missiles, like the F-2 bomber that they used on the Iranian nuclear facility. I don't know if Nigeria has. Does Nigeria have those weapons? No, but we are not sure. We are not sure. We are not sure. You'll be shocked. A lot of things. A lot of things are secret. A lot of things as you'll be shocked the capabilities that the Nigerian army actually has to be able to fight at that level. Maybe even the Iron Dome might be somewhere in Nasarawa State. You don't know. You don't know. I'm not sure. You understand? So the point is, for every country that does well, for every individual that we do well, it has to start here. When we begin to think about the fact that the monies for us to build hospitals, we don't eat it. The monies for road projects, we don't eat it. The resources for agricultural expansion, we don't eat it. I look at National State University, I'm seeing a lot of land. And my mind, I was just thinking, what if somebody just had a vision of 100,000 tubers of yam? One yam in Abuja is like 4-5. 100,000 tubers of yam. Just do the math. And it's not difficult, it's achievable. So everything starts here. So I want to encourage you. What you believe determines how you act and what you attract. The last thing I will say before I leave here is this. And this is a very practical story. I remember before I met my wife, yes, I used to live in one boys' quarter in Adkam Bula Estate. But much of the time, the estate was very close to a place called Lungu. Lungu, when somebody says Lungu, it looks like one village like Lungu. You know, when you say a place is a Lungu, that's what they used to call the place. It was close to a Lungu, but it was an estate, beautiful red roofs and all that. And one day I just took a walk around the estate, the tarred roads, some areas untarred, and I was like, I would like to have a house with red roof because it was really beautiful. It was only after I built a house, my wife and I built a house, a duplex, big house, I now realized that, wow, the roof is red. Then I remembered that I lived in a place with red roofs, and right now we have a house with a red roof. So that just tells you that your words, the words that you speak, I don't know how to say this. You may not know the value of those words, but some people will say the spirits are listening to you. I don't know if spirits have ears. I'm not in the spirits. I'm right here. Some people will say nature is listening to you. Other people will say the universe is listening to you. Wise people will say God is listening to you. So what you are doing here in this university is you are placing a demand on the listening ear of God by the actions that you take, by the thoughts that you think, and by the collaborations that you make. That is what is going to define what you would be in another 5 years, another 8 years, another 10 years. And don't always forget to ask yourself the question, what is my name? Meditate on that once in a while. It will give you some level of perspective. So finally, for you to have a growth mindset, you have to learn. While learning, you have to grow. While growing, you overcome challenges. But the beauty of what I would say is everything here will look like fiction until you begin to take all the necessary action. I'm so convinced that some of us, I've given you a ChatGPT prompt, use it for 2026. I want to hear that at least 15 to 20 people here in the law faculty. When people are asking, where is Bayo? They say, Bayo is in Netherlands right now. He went for a course somewhere. Where is Amina? Amina just touched down in Canada. She went for a program. These things are possible. Your contemporaries across other Nigerian universities, they are doing these things. I know people on our mentor program, they travel, all expense paid. These opportunities are there, but if you don't search, you would never what? If you don't search, you would never what? So finding is meant for the who? Finding is meant for the searchers. God bless you.